Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. I hope everyone is doing well and that everyone is staying healthy and safe inside right now. Right now as I'm shooting this, we are currently all in isolation, especially here in Los Angeles, so I really hope that everyone is doing well today. Today's pick a card reading, we are going to do messages, and we're going to be doing work with your shadow self. This will be a shadow work reading. For those of you who aren't quite familiar with shadow work or the shadow self, there's a couple different interpretations and other names for it. Some people call it the wounded self. Another way of explaining it, it's not my favorite way of explaining it, but it is something that perhaps will still resonate with most of you, is the darker self. Working with those sides of ourselves that maybe there's limiting beliefs, maybe some past trauma, or perhaps some qualities within our personality that maybe we're not the most proud of. And essentially what we do is we explore to better understand this side of ourselves. And, and for the most part, the goal at the end is to perhaps find some healing or some transformation and positive change to these qualities within ourselves, or whatever it is that may resonate with you. There will be a trigger warning on this reading. If you're not ready to dive in or to maybe address some of these things in your life, I just suggest to leave the video and come back when you do feel that you are ready. So we have 4 piles here. We have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. So take a couple minutes to meditate on the piles and decide which one is right for you. And yeah, let's get started. All right, this is for pile 1, everyone who picked pile 1. So let's look at your cards real quickly, see what we have going on here. I'm gonna do these first, and then I'm gonna save these for last. So we have Grumpy Red Fairy, Be Your True Self. And that's from the Oracle of Shadows and Light. These two are from the Tarot of the Vampire. So we have Lord of Grails. That would be the equivalent to, I guess, the King of Cups. Yeah, King of Cups here. And then we have 4 of Grails. Grails would also be 4 cups here. And then we have the Dark Mirror deck, Addicted. Okay. We also have Capricorn, I Use. And Part of Fortune, Increase. All right, so let's look and see what we have here. This is also a channeled letter. I'm going to read this in just a minute, but let me see at least what we have going on here to begin with. Okay, so I'm getting a sense for a lot of you that the first ones that kind of stood out to me right away is Capricorn and addiction. I use, addicted. I think the first thing that's coming right away is kind of an unhealthy balance of work. I feel a lot of you might be workaholics. I'm also getting a sense that this is also kind of affecting for a lot of you your personal life and perhaps a lot of your well-beings, or even in some of your relationships, or maybe in some cases it's affecting your relationships and people because Perhaps it's the type of industry or the type of work you do, because being true to yourself, maybe for some of you, you don't feel like you can truly shine, or perhaps you just feel maybe that fraud syndrome where you almost feel like I'm a fraud, I'm not good enough, I can't believe anyone believes in me. I'm definitely sensing that for some of you, that perhaps it's the sense of not feeling good enough, or feeling like a fraud in a lot of senses. And I'm definitely seeing this, definitely that kind of mentality. Definitely I'm seeing it within work, but with our Grail cards, our water cards, I also feel like that's also affecting our inner self, and with our relationships even outside of work, where I almost feel like you kind of halt things, like you kind of like put them off to the side, or maybe within your interpersonal relationships, whether it's with friends, family, or romantic relationships, that I almost feel like you're just kind of disconnected, like you're almost like you don't give them the time of day. That's kind of what I'm sensing here. And what I think the message here for sure is that you need to, with this part of fortune, you need to increase that self-love, that self-worth within yourself. Maybe some of you might have some substance issues, like maybe you're, with everything kind of going on, you feel really stressed out. And perhaps the only way you have found any sort of relief is maybe through self-medication. So maybe for some of you, you could be drinking a lot, or maybe doing drugs. That won't be for everyone, but I definitely get a sense that with this emotional imbalance and kind of this stress I'm feeling, and this sense of feeling like you're a fraud, I just kind of sense this inner dialogue where you're almost like, I just need to tone it, lay off, I need to burn off some steam, or whatever the phrase is. I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly, but that's what I'm kind of feeling, is that need to I just need to take off the edge, sort of say. But perhaps that is something that is coming as an issue for you, where you're now starting to kind of be like, wait, do I have a problem? Maybe I don't have a problem, or I thought it was fine, but now it's kind of getting out of hand. It was just maybe a drink or two, or just whatever it was here and there, and now it's more often than I'm personally comfortable with. So that could be another, a couple different things. And definitely to increase the love in your life, the love in your life, both for yourself, and also to try to cherish the people around you who do love you and care for you. I'm going to read. So this is a channeled letter. So this is a channeled message from your shadow self. So let's read it and see what it says. I am feeling overwhelmed and or disconnected with my emotions. I don't feel loved. I am lonely. I want to bring love into my life. I've been trying to manifest and stay positive. Nothing or more disappointment comes into my life. I am not properly aligned right now with myself. I know I need to work on myself, but I can't help my urge and desire. I am feeling desperate and needy, and I don't like it. Am I good enough? Because I don't feel so. I am losing faith of whether I'll find love or be happy, or both. And for those of you who want to know the tarot cards that did resonate with this, it was the Magician and the King of Cups. So yeah, right then and there, yeah, it's just this inner turmoil of not feeling good enough, and so kind of what we were just saying earlier, that sense of kind of feeling like this imbalance within yourself of that fraud feeling of not being good enough, or, and essentially maybe you're trying too hard, or there's just not enough of that self-love within yourself, that sometimes it might come out as being needy and desperate because you feel like you have to work so hard in order to convince people that you are worth loving, or you are worth giving. I'm worth having that raise or that promotion. Seeing if there's anything else. Let's take these other cards in. So these cards, the idea for these cards is to see if there's any sort of healing messages or anything that may help you move forward in this predicament. So from the Kuan Yin Oracle, we have Reveal the Peacock Beauty. These are from the Good Tarot. Star. Oh, okay. Absolutely. High Priestess. Oh, wow. And then from the Queen of the Moon Oracle, we have the Void and Balance. So right away, obviously that balance is finding that balance of feeling good enough, that balance within yourself, and also that balance, as we were talking about earlier, with also work life and personal life. And the Star right away, I mean, that just right there tells me right off the bat that, it's let that star shine. That's kind of, you are a star. You are good enough. You are worth being loved. You are worth all the blessings in your life. Reveal the peacock beauty. Show your true self. Show your authentic self. Don't be afraid to show that. And with the High Priestess too, this feeling of kind of like that hidden, like that self. Maybe for some of you, you have been hiding these things within yourself, because the High Priestess kind of has that like mysterious energy to it, where, there's kind of that hidden behind the curtain sort of thing, especially we have the Void as well. So it's almost kind of like dive into that self of yours, and you never know what might be discovered in the void. But you have to dig in and really dig down and find, who am I? Like, whatever is deep down within me, my higher self, my authentic self, my true self, the person I'm supposed to be, to embrace it. And, and if for some of you, you don't know quite, if you haven't quite figured that out yet, to dive in and don't be afraid of the unknown. Maybe for some of you, part of what may be giving yourself this kind of fraud sense, within yourself, or this kind of feeling that you're not living your true life, maybe not living your true purpose, is because maybe for some of you, you're living a life, or you're working at a job, or whatever it might be, like maybe a lifestyle that you just don't feel like is aligned with yourself. You're not happy with where your life currently is right now. So that might resonate for some of you. But yeah, I definitely see like the kind of message of how to move forward is definitely to, increase that love within yourself, find that balance within your relationships. For some of you who are kind of having issues and imbalances within your relationship. And, and if some of these things, like, you don't know, to reveal the peacock beauty within yourself, the star, your inner light, don't be afraid to dive in and explore the void, explore the unknown. Even if that means making changes in your life that may be hard initially, or maybe seem impossible, but deep down, this is how I can live my truth, And of course, there's a balance. So no one's saying like dive in deep in these changes. The idea is finding that balance within your relationships. And also, maybe for some of you, this might be only just for a few of you, but if it's kind of one of those circumstances with work and career, and you realize I'm not living my truth, I need to maybe, I need to switch careers, or I want to do this instead of what I'm doing now. No one's saying you have to like completely dive in deep head first. There is that balance. So if it's something that, if you can start pursuing while, maybe still for the sake of stability, especially that Capricorn. Yeah, so there we go. So, Capricorn, it's that really focused, career-oriented kind of energy. You don't necessarily need to like go off the deep end. It's not black and white. You can gradually work your way into whatever that may be for you. Trying to see if there's anything else here. I think that's good. I'm gonna see, these are the 72 names of God. It's a Kabbalah based deck, and these have like meditations and affirmations. So let me see maybe if there's something here for you. Okay. So we have fearlessness. Oh, sorry, fearless. My apologies, I didn't read that correctly. Fearless. And the meditation, or the little message says, "What am I afraid of? With this name, the courage to conquer my fear now arises within me. By proactively confronting my fears at the seed level, I yank them out by the roots and remove them entirely from my being." And for the actual name, which is in Hebrew, I do apologize if I say this incorrectly, but it's Mem Nun Daled. And the purpose kind of within this deck is that it would be your mantra, so you would repeat that within your meditation. But that definitely, I think, just kind of confirms everything we were just talking about here, that conquering that fear within yourself, that, remove that negativity, remove the bad habits or whatever it may be, and, to not be afraid of what's waiting for you on the other end, what's waiting for you in the void. So I think that's it for you guys. Thank you so much. I really hope this resonated with you and you guys got something out of it. I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Hello, everyone. This is for everyone who chose pile 2. So let's get looking at your cards here. I'm going to look at these quick and save these for a minute, including this. This is a channeled letter from your shadow self. So we'll dive in that in just a minute. Let's see what we have here to begin with. So we have the 3 fates from the Oracle of Shadows and Light. What comes around, ... Okay. These are from the Tarot of the Vampire. So we have the Fortune, Wheel of Fortune. Okay. The Tower from the Dark Mirror Oracle deck. Colorless Angel. Okay. And and these are from the Black Moon Astrology deck. We have the 12th House Escape and Solar Eclipse Revolution. Okay, so let me just take a minute here and see what's going on. The thing right away that kind of popped out though, kind of that what comes around, the Tower and the Fortune, is definitely this, I think for you guys in karmic, it was already coming out for you guys who picked pile 2. There's definitely some sort of karmic cycle you guys are working through right now. It's almost, the wheel, so what comes around, always comes back to you. And I feel it's this tearing, and it's almost like this cycle of like constantly needing, what I'm sensing is you're in almost like in a pattern of behavior that needs to come down, or maybe you're in the process of coming down, or maybe you've almost hit like a rock bottom. yeah, like it's almost like you hit a rock bottom and then you come back in and then you fall back out, or you come back in and you fall back out. And with the colorless angel in the 12th house, and this also came up in group 1 for some as well, but like I see these and I see escapism. The first thing that kind of came was maybe self-medication. Self-medicating. So whether that's like through drinking or through drugs or whatever that may be. But for you guys, that was just kind of like an aspect in pile 1. But I'm sensing here in pile 2 that this has been taking up your attention, taking up your mind, taking up your sense of inner peace. Because with the colorless angel, I'm kind of seeing a sense of like almost like giving up, where you're like, I just keep falling through this cycle over and over and over again. It may not be necessarily drugs and alcohol per se. I do sense that could be definitely the case for some of you, but I definitely am seeing this idea of where like I just keep coming back, or I just keep maybe, oh, there we go, maybe an unhealthy relationship. So like a very toxic relationship that just kind of came out, where it's just almost like this constant sort of like cycle of I just keep coming back, and just when I think I got myself put together, he calls me or she calls me, and before I know, I'm back in this toxic cycle. And you want to escape. You want to escape this. Whether it's for some of you with the, whether it's escaping your problems, but in that case, for some of you where that might resonate for you, you're wanting to leave this cycle. You want this toxic cycle within yourself, or your circumstances, or within your relationships. You want to escape this. Like you're done, like kind of like the 12th house also kind of has this sense of illusion. So you're like, I'm done lying to myself. I'm done telling myself that everything's okay. Like I'm ready to make the proper change in my life. I'm sick and tired of feeling as though you're at the sense where it's like there's no color in your life, the colorless angel, where you're so disillusioned at this point, where you're like, I'm done turning the other cheek. I'm done turning around and pretending or avoiding the red flags or whatever it may be, or telling myself that there's nothing wrong with my behavior when I know truly there is a problem going on. And with the solar eclipse, I'm sensing, revolution. This is going to be this change is going to be a lot more work than maybe you were hoping for, or maybe much more. Like I see revolution, and I'm just like, it needs to be revolutionary. Like the way to like take this on is, you're going to have a lot of drastic changes. So don't be afraid. If you need help, there we go. So maybe for some of you guys, you're in this cycle, what's going on, but maybe you haven't talked to anyone about it, or maybe you're afraid to ask for help. And I definitely sense Spirit is definitely telling you, like, you don't need to be alone in this. Like, whatever it is that is happening, whatever it is that you're going on, you're not alone. Make that change, make that revolution, and there are people around you that do love you. And, and even if that means like even like professional help, like seeing a therapist or anything, for maybe some of you, like, don't be afraid of that. Like, don't be afraid to seek the help that you're looking for. I'm going to read this channel letter here for you guys. See what this says. Maybe some of it will resonate, maybe some of it won't, but it's a general reading. So it says here, I'm having a hard time in completing my projects and other important tasks in my life right now. I feel so scattered right now. My focus seems off. I just want to turn everything off and escape from this reality. I don't know what to prioritize first. I feel like I have too many things going on. I'm feeling like I won't complete anything. I'm afraid of the future and outcomes. I don't believe in myself, so I procrastinate. All right, so that definitely was confirming a lot of what we were talking about, that cycle, procrastination. That's, I think a lot of people know what that means. So in that, with that letter in mind, just kind of that sense of, never getting anything done in that circumstance, sounds more like a creative and like almost like a work message, but essentially the idea of like you're in a cycle that you can't break, and that just that sound of like procrastination. And I start something but I don't ever finish it, and I try to work on it but then I never get back to it. This kind of sense of procrastination because of this, the sense of maybe you don't believe that you can make this change, whatever it may be. We were sensing toxic relationships. We were sensing maybe some addiction issues. In that case, it's bad habits. It can be a number of different things of what might resonate with you. But there's definitely this sense of like you've lost faith. Like we said, the tower, the colorless angel, you've lost faith in whether you can even make these changes, whether you are even capable of turning your life around. That revolution, like it's going to take a revolution to like figure this out and get this done. Like, how am I going to do this? So let's see your other cards here real quick. These are messages and hoping in regards of like how we can move forward from this. So from the Kuan Yin Oracle, we have To the Celestial Mountain. We have King of Earth, essentially King of Pentacles. This is from the Good Tarot. Chariot. And this is from Queen of the Moon. Gratitude. And Growth. So yeah, you're going to have to grow. You can no longer stay in this situation. You can no longer stay in this cycle. You're going to have to grow. You're going to have to make these changes. I sensed when I saw the Celestial Mountain, maybe for some of you, you do need to just like get away for a minute. Maybe because you've been so caught up in what's going on, or maybe for some of those, if it's like the procrastination on projects or something that work-wise, maybe the key is to maybe there's a lot of distractions going on. So maybe going to the mountains, going into nature to meditate, or to just kind of even just like for a weekend vacation, just to get away from everything around you in order to kind of take a breather and give yourself that room and permission to get it done. And, and with the, because if I remember, let me look back in this. I don't believe in myself, so I procrastinate. When I look at gratitude, I definitely am seeing that, I think for some of you, not believing in yourself, not thinking, feeling so scattered and everything, it's that gratitude of being, a part of maybe healing and moving forward for some of you, even with the toxic cycles that you might be going through. As, it may seem impossible, but the way, with the Chariot, which is all about momentum and moving forward, I definitely am sensing for that growth and for that success you're seeing, King of Earth, so like this earth energy, so here, like in this realm, on this planet, like in this reality, you gotta maybe start with, that sense of not believing in yourself. A good way of maybe starting to heal yourself is to practice gratitude. Look in your life and see, okay, what do I have going on in my life that I'm grateful for? maybe, and it can start small, but, maybe you have amazing friends, even if there are certain circumstances, maybe well, you know what, I have a fantastic friend in X, Y, and Z. Or, I have really great parents. Or, you know what, my job isn't so bad. It keeps a roof over my head. Even though it may not be like my dream job, it could be a lot worse and I'm treated well. Whatever it may be for you, that's a good way to maybe start in regards to breaking out, is to find the things you are grateful for. Because once you kind of have that sense of, oh, you know what, I have a lot more positive and good things going on, and that I deserve, these good things, that will help break that cycle. But I definitely do sense for overall growth, there are going to be definite changes. So with, I keep looking at the Chariot and, that idea of just like forward momentum, especially with the procrastination that we were seeing in the letter. You need to just, whatever is going to help you just like push through that procrastination. I'm sensing, with the kind of like earth energy, like maybe getting yourself on a schedule and being like very much like on yourself to like, okay, so this day is not a successful day unless I at least do an hour of this, or at least I do an hour of that, or whatever it may be that, and maybe an hour depending on your schedule or what your life is. This is a general reading. But whatever it is that can get you to start growing and getting into those healthy habits. And maybe finally doing that with, maybe part of that is also like, I need to like be able to like take a minute to breathe or to meditate, go out in nature, maybe take that vacation and take the time into figuring out, okay, like how am I going to get this done? Like, that idea of just kind of stepping away for a moment, stepping back, examining everything. How can I break this cycle? How can I move forward? And I definitely... Hey guys, sorry about that. My battery had died. I had to switch it out. But back to, where were we? Back to talking about building these habits. That's where we were. That there will be success. But it's going to take a lot of hard work. And it is going to take a lot of focus and concentration. And that you're not alone, and that, if you need to ask help, don't be afraid to ask help. I do think maybe for some of you that could be hard, but, part of that kind of gratitude is, what we were saying earlier about the gratitude is, if you do have those amazing people in your life, maybe confide in them, or maybe if for some circumstances, if you feel like you don't have someone you feel like you can talk to, depending on what it is, maybe see a therapist if that is something that you think might work for you. But there will be results. It's just going to take a lot of changes. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of focus and concentration. But you will be successful, and to not be afraid to reach out. So I think I'm going to wrap up this reading with one of these cards here. These are the 72 Names of God, a meditation deck. It's a Kabbalah-based deck. So let's see here. So we have here, dumping depression. And this is the word of meditation here, or the idea, intention. I have now been bestowed with the emotional strength to stand after I have stumbled, to rise after I have fallen, and to endure when the path seems undurable. And and then the name of God in Hebrew is, and I do apologize if I say this incorrectly, but it's He Kaf Mem, He Kaf Mem. And that can be like your mantra in a sense, where if you practice meditation, that could be the mantra that you can tell, that you can chant. I don't know why that word took a minute for me to register, but I do apologize. But yeah, that idea of like kind of feeling, whatever the cycle is that you're going on, it just kind of feels like it's kind of put you in the dumps. And that, if I remember, I don't believe in myself, and perhaps it's, we need to dump that dumping depression. We need to, practice gratitude and realize there are good things going on, and using that as a stepping stone to break these cycles that you may be going through. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. That was definitely what came to me. Like, it's not impossible. This is possible. You're going to have to be really focused. You're going to have to want it and really work on it. And there's going to have to be a lot of changes, but it is possible. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. And you won't feel this way about your life or about yourself or about your circumstances, and that it's temporary. Like it's temporary, and you can make the changes that you want. Let me see if there's anything else for you guys. No, I think... Oh, going back on that depression, what we were kind of talking about earlier, about asking for help and talking to people, maybe that is another step. It's just, even if it's just someone to talk to, maybe it's not maybe for some of you it is, please help me with proactively doing this, or keeping myself in check, or being whatever it is with that person, whatever you feel like you might need to ask from them. But even if it's just simply, hey, look, I just need to have a moment where I can just talk and let it out and say what's going on and say what I'm feeling. Maybe that is the stepping stone. Maybe that's the step. It's just, maybe that is the first step for some of you. It's just talk it out, maybe get it out, and with someone who you feel is safe to talk to. And, maybe that is where you need to start in order to, and all these things can come after, but maybe for some of you, maybe that's exactly what you need to do, is just take that leap of faith in a sense and trust, or find someone to just say something, or just to talk about it. I think that's it. I'm not sensing anything else. So thank you guys so much. I really hope that resonated with you and that you got something out of it. That definitely had a lot going on. There was a lot of messages, a lot of different messages in here, but I really hope this resonated with you and that this will help you move forward. So I'm going to get going, but thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, this is everyone who picked pile 3. So we're going to look at your cards here real quickly. We're going to look at these first, and then I'm going to save these for later. We also have a channeled letter from your shadow self. So we will read that in a little bit. I want to get going on the cards and see what we have here to start with. So we have Lantern Fairy, a clear solution. That's from the Oracle of Shadows and Light. This is from the Tarot of the Vampire. We have 6 of Knives, or 6 of Swords. We have 3 of Scepters, which is essentially 3 of Wands. From the Dark Mirror Oracle, we have Fated to Suffer. Okay. And from the Black Moon Astrology deck, we have Moon, the Soul, and Aries, I Am. So let me just take a minute here and see what we have going on here to work with. I almost am getting the sense that I'm sensing that for some of you, there's a lot of this victimization. Maybe for some of you guys, this is a general reading, but I can't help but to see. When I look at Fated to Suffer, the moon and Aries, that kind of says, Aries I am, so that kind of sense of self. And then the moon, which is like our internal world, and Fated to Suffer. I can't help but to feel that maybe for some of you guys, there's just this victimization within yourself that the inner dialogue I'm hearing here is, even with the Six of Knives, just kind of like, I never get my way, nothing works out for me, why do I even bother trying, it never works out for me, I put all this hard work and effort into everything and I get nothing in return. And I sense that you internalize this so badly and that it's so easy, you're one of those, like, why is it always happening to me? That's like the dialogue I'm hearing in my mind. Why is this always happening to me? Why can't I catch a break? Why can't I have this happen for myself? And I'm sensing with the Three of Scepters, which is like the Three of Wands energy and the clear solution, I sense maybe for some of you guys, you also overcomplicate things for yourself, like because you go into this internal mental spiral. This internal mental spiral of just like, you're always looking at what else is to blame as opposed to the changes you can do within yourself. And I think you overcomplicate it because you're always, I'm sensing some of you overthink. I definitely sense a lot of you guys are very anxious. You overthink. You have this almost like nervous kind of anxious energy where it's just like, why is this not happening? Like, why am I always failing? Why am I always like getting rejected? Like, I just sense that this is something you keep telling yourself, and and that you overthink and you overcomplicate these things, and perhaps the answer is much more simpler, and that it's not anything about you personally. I definitely sense a lot of you take things personally and you internalize it, and that the clear solution, with almost like this kind of like passionate, fiery energy, in the Three of Scepters, which is, Scepters Wands energy, which is like this kind of creative energy and this passionate energy. I think a lot of you have a lot of problems with self-worth, so it's kind of easy to look outside of what the problem is, and instead of kind of seeing, what can you do to change your circumstances, but not even so much, but for some of you who take things too personally, it's even like the mindset, like you're in this, with Six of Knives, it's like, you're in this mindset, and that's, I think, what needs to change is, one of the biggest things I think I've always been told by people is, don't think of why is this happening to you, why is this happening for you? What can you learn? What can you create? What type of solutions or what kind of revelations can you create in order for that forward, like that fiery, like forward momentum of moving forward and not being so dragged down and not being so like held back? Because when we, with that And part of it, clear solution. I think it's so hard, but I think once you but that could be like a solution where it's like, maybe just start with like not taking things personally. That not everything has to do with you. And it's not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong, although obviously you should always be honest with yourself and see and still be, there's nothing wrong with having a healthy sense of critique. But I see with a lot of you that you internalize these things, and it's almost like you get into this victim mindset and you take things very personally. And that's probably, for some of you, may be even like a stepping stone in regard to where to start in order to kind of break out of that. I'm going to read your letter here. This is your channeled letter from your shadow self. So there could be a bunch of different things in here. But let's see what we have. I need to trust my instincts and my gut more. It's gotten myself this far, no turning back. I need to stop underestimating myself and my capabilities. I will figure out a solution to my problem and or situation. I just need to embrace my creative side. So we do have that in the wands. We need to create that, embrace that creative side. I feel a passion inside me and need to embrace it and something out of it. I've been too much in my head, stuck for too long. I need to follow my heart and take a chance. Am I afraid of success? Afraid of myself at my fullest strength and energy? Why? Am I flawed? Sure, but should I be afraid of these flaws? I am stronger than I know, but afraid of people finding out what I am capable of. Both the good and the bad. So that was a lot to that was a lot right there. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. So what we were kind of talking about, that sense of like that taking things personally and not understanding like, why is this happening to me as opposed to why is this happening for me? It's that kind of sense where that nervous energy, that anxious energy, that anxiety, that overthinking, that overthinking and anxiety is that kind of energy we have when we're not trusting the process and trusting ourselves and trusting that we are enough and that we deserve success, or we deserve whatever it is that we're trying to achieve here, and to believe in yourself more and to be much more, you are enough and you have the capability, and the solutions are much more simpler than you think they are. And that I do see with that creative thinking, like take that 3 of Wands, like that creative energy, and really, you have the solutions, and they're a lot more simpler than you think you are. You just have to trust yourself and also embrace yourself. So definitely, maybe for some of you that, some of you may be afraid of success, with that kind of anxious, nervous energy, maybe a part of yourself, without you even realizing it on a subconscious level, you might have been holding yourself back. And it was because you're afraid of the outcome, or you want to control the outcome, or you don't think you're ready for what it is that you're trying to do. Or you keep telling or maybe on a self-conscious level, you're putting out that energy that you're not ready to show what you are capable of. I think for a lot of you, what is going to help is knowing how to kind of let go of control and let go of how you feel things need to be, how things should be and come out to be, and just to, have faith and trust the process, and to embrace the unknown and embrace what you do have. I do feel for some of you, you do have a lot to, everyone does, but like I do sense like for a lot of you might be very creative. There's a lot with art, so maybe you're an artist, you're a writer or something. But I think it's to believe and embrace that art and to embrace what you do have to offer, and that there is a path for you in achieving your dreams, and that you don't need to be stuck. You don't need to be in this mindset. You don't need to be holding yourself back, or you don't need to take everything personally. Understand that you have what you have to offer. Not everyone may like it. You may not be everyone's cup of tea, but at the end of the day, do you like yourself? Do you love your art? Do you think you need to believe in the worth? Like, you need to know that there's substance there. Yeah, and you're holding yourself back. Are you afraid of that success? that it's just that mindset of, or that subconscious energy of just like not believing in yourself, even though you're very, and you're behaving in this way, and you just don't understand why things aren't happening. But maybe if you dig deep down, you're realizing it's because of this lack of self-worth. And to not be afraid of being different. I'm seeing like the flaws, but being afraid of what people see and that I'm capable of both the good and bad. I think it's also embracing what makes you different, and not to be caught up in being perfect. That came out right there was that sense of perfectionism, and that you don't need to be perfect. We're gonna have our good days, we're gonna have our bad days. We're going to write something and it's going to be perfect. And then sometimes we might work on something and then it's not as good, whatever it may be, or a painting, or maybe music, or for those who are creative, but even for those who aren't necessarily considers themselves creative, like to embrace both your authentic self, both what's good and what's bad, and not be caught up on being perfect all the time. So definitely, I think for maybe some of you, you're putting out this front of coming off as like you have it together and you have all these amazing things going on and that perfect life, sort of say, but you don't feel like, but that's not how you're feeling, or that's not what's going on, or you feel like you have to put that out, or maybe you're so caught up in how you want that dream life to be, that perfect life you're working for, that's holding you back. Because what happens is when we're so stuck on a certain idea of how we feel like we want things and how they should come into our lives, we're closing and we're blinding ourselves from the different paths and opportunities that could lead us, that may be different. They may not be what we're necessarily thinking of in our minds, but it would, and it may not be exactly what we thought they are, but it's still a path, and it's still these opportunities to, at the end of the day, achieve your dream life, your highest potential, your dharma, your purpose, whatever it may be. So yeah, that's what I'm getting from here. So let's look at these other cards, see if there's any other messages in regards of moving forward. So from the Kuan Yin Oracle, the Dance Unveiling. From the Good Tarot, we have Patience. Eight of Air, or Eight of Swords. And from the Queen of the Moon Oracle, we have Pleasure and Power. Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, right off the bat, that kind of the unveiling. So everything will come, there's definitely the sense of energy of trusting the process, patience, and divine timing. Part of that anxiety is because we're trying to like make it happen a certain way. And like we said, we have to be patient and understand. And with that Eight of Air, Eight of Swords kind of like energy, we need to not be our own worst enemy. I think for some of you, that is definitely kind of the case. But, that it's not, we're not incapable, you are capable of your dream life, but it's going to unveil when it's right, when you're aligned with divine timing. So you need to be patient and to relax. With the pleasure card, like, take time out of your day where you're not so caught up in what's going on, and know when to take a breather and when to enjoy the simple things in life, and and not be so caught up, whether that may be having a couple different hobbies or just having that night where you're going out with your friends, just kind of like to take a breather and still appreciate the present moment. Embrace what you have, what is in front of you. Because when we're so caught up in the future, we forget like what's going on in front of you. And part of that, breaking that kind of unhealthy cycle, is really being present and embracing what's going on right now, what do I have in my moment, and taking it moment to moment, and trusting and knowing and certainty that you've put the work in and you will achieve your dreams. But to also don't forget to have pleasure in life. And that will harness your power. You are, kind of like what we were seeing, like you are much more capable. You have the power. You're much more capable than you think you are, for some of you. You just need to grab it, and you need to not be afraid and not always accept people's approval, like get into your own personal authentic power, whatever it may be, flaws and all, and just go for it and embrace who you are and what makes you different. I'm going to take these out, see if there's anything here. These are the 72 Names of God meditation deck. It's a Kabbalah-based meditation deck. So let's see if there's anything in here for you. So here we have eradicate plague. Okay, so here's the message here. Using this name summons forth light to wipe out these plagues at their root. Think about smoking, cancer, AIDS, pollution, nuclear waste, depression, heart disease, hatred, or any other plague that infects the world. Now summon forth light to wipe out these plagues at their foot. And the name, which is in Hebrew, and hopefully I pronounced this correctly, is Nun Lamed Kaf. And within this kind of practice, that would be your mantra in meditation. Yeah, so I mean, the first thing right away is, it's talking about like calling forth your inner power, the light. If you're not familiar with Kabbalah, the concept of essentially the light, that's the source energy, the universe, the creator. So it's calling forth the light, calling forth your power, and eradicating, what is no longer serving you, these bad, this mindset and what is going on, these cycles of behavior, that depression, that anxiety, that victimization, that lack of feeling self-worth, or not, the victim blaming, and just simply, knowing you have the power to make those changes in your life, and that whether they're big or small or whatever they may be for any of you, this is a general reading, but essentially you have the power to eradicate and rid of what is no longer serving you. And part of that is trusting and having certainty that you deserve what you desire, and trusting that it will come into your life when the time is right, with divine timing, when you're aligned, and trusting that process, and to enjoy life and to be present and not be your own worst enemy, and to keep that like mentality in check. I think that's it for you guys. I really hope that helped you guys, and that resonated with you, and that you got something out of this reading. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. All right, everyone, this is everyone who picked pile 4. So we're going to go through your first deck of cards. We're going to go through these first, and then I'm going to bring these other ones in later. And we also have a channeled letter. This is a channeled letter from your shadow self, but we're going to look at the cards first before we open that up. So from the Oracle of Shadows and Light, we have Fairy of the Highlands. It's time to be brave. This is from Tarot of the Vampire. Six of Scepters or Six of Wands. And Temperance. From the Dark Mirror Oracle, we have Sacrifice. From the Black Moon Astrology deck, we have the Third House, Messages. And then we have Leo, I Will. Okay, so right away, there's a lot of fire energy, there's a lot of willpower, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of high energy going on here. And a lot of it is, I'm seeing kind of right away, is almost like a call to action. A call to action and finding courage and being brave, and with the Temperance and the Messages, I feel for some of you right away that maybe some of you are very much spiritually inclined, because I'm sensing that with the Third House and Messages, that you guys have been getting messages from Spirit, or whatever it is that resonates with you, your higher self, the universe, of what you need to be doing right now at this moment. Or getting messages of confirmation. I can't help but to feel that like you are getting messages from the universe and you are spiritually inclined, but you're not listening, or you're not quite hearing it correctly, or you're not trusting the messages. And I'm seeing here, there needs to be a change, and I think maybe for some of you, you've been hesitating on making this change because it involves sacrifice. I'm getting kind of with this and like with the Wands energy here that maybe there's some travel. Like maybe there's something going on where it requires traveling. And it's about finding the will to do it. So whatever it is, there's a call to action here in regards to being brave and making this change. But it's involving sacrifices where you kind of have to give something up. But it's going to open up these opportunities. So, and perhaps, I think what maybe, what the messages are that maybe you're not listening or you're not trusting is this idea, with the Temperance card, the idea that where you kind of feel like, oh, there's something wrong. Like I kind of have my life going on the way it is. I feel like I have this going on, that going on. Like, maybe you're telling yourself like everything is fine, like it's in balance, and maybe it's you're comfortable. That's what I'm getting, is you're almost like in this sense of complacentness where you're comfortable, so you're not really driven, you're not feeling the need to change, or it's not that you don't have certain things you don't want to change in your life. This is a general reading, but that there are definitely, you're comfortable, but it's for these changes, you have to be uncomfortable, because I feel like what's happening is because you're comfortable, you're not taking chances, you're not taking maybe certain opportunities, maybe some of them involve travel, or you're not finding that willingness to let go of what you may have going on, because I think you've been telling yourself that, like it may not be perfect, but but it's comfortable or it's stable. But in order for that forward momentum of, whatever it is that you want, that you need to perhaps be you're gonna have to make changes. Like, you have to let this go. So maybe it's an opportunity. I feel like that's kind of getting essentially the message here is, I feel like there's something that's, like maybe it's your calling, or maybe whatever it is, you're holding yourself back because you're feeling comfortable and you're feeling complacent. And with that, we don't put effort in anymore. And a lot of us, like, and I'm sensing for some of you, we're not wanting to put that effort in because we know that's going to inquire giving something up. I'm going to look at this letter here real quick. This is your channeled message letter. So maybe we'll get some more specifics here. And there could be a variety of different messages in here. So let's see what it says here. I'm feeling dissatisfied and slow moving. I am becoming impatient. I have been working on myself and have seen nothing I want to see as a result. I work so hard only to get little or nothing in return. I am ready to give up. I'm starting to doubt my path and don't believe in myself anymore. I know exactly what I want and how I want it to come into my life, and that is the problem. I am not trusting the process and the divine timing of the universe. I want to control everything, which makes trust and letting go hard. I am not strong in my certainty. So yeah, that kind of, so I'm definitely seeing with that, those opportunities, yeah, like I sense you guys know what you want. I don't think that's the problem with you guys. For some of you, there is some maybe that are doubting, but I think what is happening here is you know what you want and you know what you need to get it, but for some of you, you're not doing it, or you don't have the will. For some of you who have that doubt, you have lost maybe for some of you the will to do it, which is why you're almost in this complacency. Like, you're almost like in this cycle where you're kind of like in this comfortable, almost like on, what's it called? Like, you're almost like on that assembly belt. Like, you just keep going into that same cycle. It's almost, you're on autopilot in a sense. And perhaps it's this, because you are in that autopilot, and that it's causing you to not be able to actually achieve these things. And with the saying, like, you're starting to not believe in yourself, I'm not getting anything as a result. Maybe because you're not doing, maybe for some of you, you're not trying enough. Maybe for some of you, you're thinking, oh, like, it will eventually come to me. I don't have to put the work in. That's what, for some of you, this is a general reading. But I am getting maybe for some of you, it's that idea of like, you know what you want and you know what you have to do to get it, but are you doing that? Like, say you want to learn a foreign language. This is just an example, but you want to learn a foreign language, but are you working on it every day? Are you putting the time into it every day to ensure that you do, in fact, achieve this goal? And if you're not, then you can't be upset with yourself if you don't know that foreign language, because you're not doing what you, even if it's like the minimum, like, you're not doing enough for, maybe for some of you, you're not doing enough than you think you are. Like, you're getting so caught up in not having it and you want it, but when you maybe like take a step back, maybe you're realizing, oh, you know what, I'm not doing enough. I'm not trying hard enough. And then for some of you, you are trying really hard, maybe almost too hard. Or maybe for some of you, that's kind of the lie where you think you're doing enough, but when you really step back, maybe you're not really doing anything at all. And then for some of you, for some of you, you are trying and you are putting in the effort and you are trying hard, but you're not seeing the results. And it's almost kind of that sense of like, you need to let go, you need to trust. And that's the message, and those are probably the messages that you're getting is, no, trust. Like, you don't need, it's so funny, there's like an opposite spectrum here for some of you. You know, you gotta still put, for some of you, it's like, put in the effort. Like, you're not doing enough. If we're going to be honest here, are you doing enough? And then for some of you, it's like, oh, no, you're doing enough. If anything, you're doing too much. Like, you need to, you know, you don't need to try too hard. So for, you know, there's almost like an opposite spectrum here where some of you are either kind of like on one way or the other, and that, you know, you need to trust the process. And part of, you know, you don't need to feel the need to control everything. There needs to be that balance that, with the temperance, you know, there needs to be that balance of, you know, you're trying hard and you're putting the effort in, but you're not trying too hard. Like, you don't have to try too hard. You can go the extra mile, but you don't need to go the extra, like, 20 miles, if that makes sense. You don't need to burn yourself out, because it's almost like that idea, like when you have a desire, it's kind of part of the law of attraction when, you know, you can put that energy out there and put that hard work out there, but there is almost like a level where it's like almost too much, where it can also kind of repel it. So it's that, and a lot of the time the reason why we do that is because we aren't trusting the process, and we're not trusting that we are doing enough, or that it is not going to happen the way you want to. And part of that is you need to, you know, maybe for some of you, you know, maybe for some of you, you are kind of maybe caught up in how you want it to be, or the type of result you're hoping for. And part of that is kind of just letting go, and like, you just need to trust in yourself. Like, this, it's going to happen. You don't need to try too hard. And if you are in doubt and you're starting to have that self-doubt, I think this is, you know, the message I'm getting is believe in yourself. Like, you are worth it. You are enough. There's no need to doubt. And if you are genuinely unsure, maybe take a step back and reevaluate. But one of the biggest messages I was always kind of told when it comes to doubt, especially when it comes to career and when it comes to me, because I definitely am sensing this is like career goals for a lot of you. You know, if you're doubting the path you're on, the only way to know whether that doubt is valid, like whether it's the right path or not, is to go ahead, because the answer is on the other side. So when you're in doubt, the answer is not to stay in doubt. The answer is to, well, let's follow through and see if it's true or not, because you can always course correct. And if it doesn't work out, or you realize it's not right for you, you know, you're not going to know that until you get there. So, and that is also another thing of trusting the process of, you know, all right, I'm having my doubts, and I'm having, you know, I'm not believing in myself, but I'm going to keep pushing forward and know that I will find my answer so long as I keep moving forward. I'm going to take out these other cards here for a minute. These cards are maybe some messages or some ideas of how to move forward and how we can start making these changes in our life. So with the Kuan Yin Oracle, we have Tai Chi Rising. From the Good Tarot, we have the Hierophant, the Emperor, and this is the Queen of the Moon Oracle, Blossoming, and Extremes. So right away, that confirmation there with the extremes, you know, that's kind of been, you know, whoever picked pile 4, I definitely am sensing, you know, it's general reading, but for a lot of you who picked this pile, like, you're kind of on one end of the spectrum here. You're either not doing enough and you're kind of not being honest with yourself, or you're trying way too hard. I definitely sense with this, with the extremes, definitely trying way too hard, or maybe just not trusting yourself. And especially, I'm sensing kind of with that Hierophant, you know, just, I look at that, and for some reason it's telling me with the Hierophant to like simplify it. Like you're, for some of you it's like you're overthinking it, and maybe for those who think they're not doing enough, it's like, but you need to do more, but like it's not as hard as it needs to be. You can take forth, and with the Emperor and Tai Chi rising, like this, you are capable of harnessing the energy. You're capable of doing what it is you want to do. And I do know that with you guys, like, there will be success. That Emperor card for me, I'm just seeing like, yes. And with the blossoming, you're only going to come stronger out of it. But I think for a lot of you, it's either, that message of, let's be honest with yourself. Are we doing enough? Are we putting the right effort? And are we putting our effort in the right direction? That's the other thing that just kind of came, where it's like, are we trying? Are we working hard to where we want to go? But are we putting our efforts and our attention in the wrong places? And I think right back there with that sacrifice card, maybe, for some of you, part of that temperance, that balance is like, yeah, I mean, you want to, this is just an example, whatever, I feel like it's different for everyone, general reading, but it's that idea of, as an example, okay, yeah, so you want to work out, or you want to, whatever it is, like take care of yourself and live a healthy lifestyle, but how healthy is it if you're eating fast food every day? So that was just kind of like the example that came to mind, the idea of, okay, so this is what you want to achieve, but let's be honest here, are you behaving in that way as though that is how you want to live? Like, if you're trying to live a healthier lifestyle, but are you really doing the things that will get you into that lifestyle? Are you exercising? Are you eating right, or whatever it may be for you? So I think it's also a sense of putting your efforts and putting your energy, for some of you, in the right direction. And then for some of you, it's to not have such an extreme where it's like you're trying way too hard. And, with the Hierophant, trust in your power, and I'm just kind of getting this sense of like, this pureness where it's, it's almost like you need to like center yourself and come into yourself and know that you are enough, and it will come in due timing. And and maybe for some of you, in order to move forward is actually maybe in a sense to educate yourself and to grow and to learn more, to blossom, whatever it may be. So maybe for some of you where it's like, okay, so maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe part of putting that effort in is to learn more, or to study, or whatever it is. Like I'm getting a couple different things here, but I'm definitely seeing it's just kind of that balance of your effort, and to know that you're enough, and internally know, and to always keep growing, and to keep blossoming, and to keep moving forward, and always bettering yourself, but to know within yourself internally that you are enough, and that you are putting the effort, and yet you're also not trying too hard. You're not wasting unnecessary energy on something because it's just showing that deep down you're not trusting that you're doing enough and that you deserve it. Let me see if there's anything else. That was kind of... Okay, yeah. I'm going to shuffle these real quick for you guys. These are the 72 Names of God meditation deck. It's a Kabbalah-based deck, so let's see if there's anything in here for you guys. So this says the power of prosperity. And the message here is, I acknowledge that the light of the Creator is the ultimate source of all prosperity and well-being. With this name I summon the forces of prosperity and sustenance, and ask for the strength to keep my ego in check when the other checks start rolling in. And the name, which is in Hebrew, I do apologize if I don't say this correctly, but it's Samek Alfeth Lamed. And within this kind of tradition, that would be almost your mantra when you meditate, and the mantra you would chant. But yeah, so I mean, the power of prosperity, I mean, I think it's just kind of saying it right there. It's with the keep ego in check, in the sense where it's, you know, the ego, when I hear the ego, I automatically think of the mind, and the mind of like that, having that balance where it's like, you know, you are doing enough. You don't need to do too much, but you can't be, you know, but you still have to put the effort forth. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. So it's just kind of like having that sense within yourself that prosperity is possible and it will come in and you will attract to it, but you have to be aligned. There you go. That a lot of it, you know, you have to have the strength within yourself and know that this will come into your life. You know, but you have to be aligned for these things, and there is that balance of, you know, I just keep hearing the word balance. So whatever, you know, that kind of, whatever that might mean for you. And then, you know, but also with the ego, I see that right away, and I think it's also a warning for some of you, especially if for some of you, depending on where you were kind of on the spectrum of this reading, where some of you, you know, putting forth that you are doing enough, like kind of keeping that, it's like keeping that ego in check, where it's like, you know, once you do receive these blessings, don't let it get to your head. That's probably the obvious one right there too. But that kind of sense of, you know, I guess just always keeping yourself in check in regards of where you are mentally. And are you having that healthy balance of believing in yourself but not being egotistical, but also trusting and not believing in yourself? And don't self-sabotage, you know, and self-sabotaging can come in so many different ways, you know, on both extremes. So it's a warning here, and it's kind of a warning in a sense of, you know, keeping yourself in check in regards to self-sabotaging, because the extremes of both ends here are self-sabotaging, both the too little and too much. But I'm trying to see if there's anything else here going on. No, I think that's actually it. I really hope, guys, this resonated with you, and that there was a message here, and that you got something out of this reading. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.